How's everybody doing? Undocumented! 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 Thank you to everyone who stopped whatever they were doing to be here today. Your fight and the fact that you are here today shows that Americans in this nation has hope. The fact that we can stand here and protest freely shows that we have hope in America. So never lose your hope. Never lose your fire. So my name is Bambadjan Bamba, and I am from the Ivory Coast in West Africa. Where are my African undocumented people? Yeah, we're in the house. So I don't take it lightly to be here, because even in immigration and undocumented circles, we can have challenges with diversity. And we have 500,000 undocumented black people in this nation. So immigration is not just a Latino issue. It is also an African issue, a Korean issue, an Asian issue, an Indian issue, an American issue. So you heard that I was starring in Black Panther. I wasn't starring, but I was in the film. And I was the first one to fight Black Panther. So my story is like a lot of undocumented people in America today. A lot of us, unlike what the news will tell you, is we came here illegally. No, I came here legally with my parents when I was 10. Many people came here legally with visas, with their parents when they were 1, 2, 11-month-old. And because this country has a broken, outdated immigration system, we cannot legalize ourselves. There is no pathway to citizenship for people like us. There's 800,000 of us and millions of others who are in a situation where if there were right laws, if there was a pathway, people would stand in line. We want nothing else but to stand in line and be able to have our papers. If you're with me, say, oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh yeah! All right. So, being in the film industry, away from Washington, D.C., I've been able to see how too often we talk about immigration as issues, when we need to talk about the lives and the ways that those lives are impacted by those issues. We need to focus on the people first, the central narrative of how we define how or what it means to be American. And if we want any chance at moving this political needle, especially with the presidential election that's coming up, we know that immigration is going to be the central issue. So unless we start telling our stories, unless we start sharing our truths, and unless we start telling people who we are, that is the only way that we could create real and lasting change. And that is why I had no choice but to share my own personal story 2 years ago when this administration decided that they wanted to terminate DACA. Now, my whole career was on the line. I was coming out in Black Panther. I was on NBC's The Good Place. I didn't tell any producer at Marvel. I didn't tell any producers at NBC. I prayed to my God and I said, God, I'm sick and tired of living in fear. I'm sick and tired of being paralyzed by fear. I'm sick and tired of having nightmares. I'm sick and tired of living in the shadows. So I decided to share my story with the world, just so that Americans in America would get a chance to know that DACA recipients are just like every other American that's walking around. We are the teachers of your children. We are the caretakers. We are the servants. We do everything in this nation. And we're also actors in blockbuster films and hit television shows that come inside your home and that you love. So I came to this country in 1992 when I was 10 years old with my parents because they were fleeing political persecution in the Ivory Coast in Côte d'Ivoire. We landed in the South Bronx. Now, I only spoke French, and in the South Bronx, they speak English. So they put me in a Spanish ESL class because that's all there was for someone like me that spoke only French. And the only kid in the entire school that could only speak French was from Guinea. And this guy tricked me around the entire day. I asked my teacher, I asked him, how do I tell the teacher if I could go to the bathroom? He said, raise your hand and say, kiss my ass. So I raised my hand as a nice African kid. I stood up from my desk and I said, teacher, kiss my ass. So as you can imagine, that was probably one of the most traumatic days of my life, my first day in school in America, and I ended up in a fight. And then my father came and he was mad at me because that's the one thing he told me not to do. So right after that happened, I decided I'm gonna learn English. I'm gonna watch as many TV shows like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, movies like Coming to America, just so I could perfect the American accent. I used to listen to hip hop, to the Wu-Tang Clan, to Refugee Camp, to Wyclef, until I could speak English perfectly. So my parents applied for political asylum when I was 10 years old. In 2014, which is 20 years later, was when that application was finally approved. Now, because of the immigration backlog, it took 20 years. And in that time, I was over 21 and I was married, which disqualified me from having a green card. So today, my parents that filed that same asylum case have their green card, but their 10-year-old son and my older brother and sister, we are undocumented, standing on DACA. Because there's no pathway, because of this red tape, because of these politics, I don't have a pathway to citizenship. And not just me, but millions of others are in the same circumstance. So when people say, hey, do it legally, stand in line, just say, we have, give us a line, give us a road. We'll stand in there right now and today. Okay, I'm being told to wrap it up. I can talk a lot. But one thing I will end on is when I shared my story, I looked up different organizations and I landed on Define American and the amazing work that Jose Antonio Vargas is doing. All the Defense American chapters, where you at? So now I'm an ambassador with Define American, and I was doing a press tour and just sharing my story and about Black Panther and how a small African boy from a little place like the Ivory Coast is in the biggest movie in the world. And he's also a DACA recipient. And I got an email from my agent, my Hollywood agent, and this is what she said, and I'll end there. I haven't seen this before, and I just looked it up. You should be very proud, and I'm sure that your family is proud of you. You represented yourself and all other dreamers so well. I cried watching this interview. I wish you all the luck and success you deserve in this endeavor. I thank you for giving me a face to this issue, because I personally didn't know I knew any dreamers, any DACA recipients. And clearly it is entirely possible that I know many more and don't realize it. Putting your name in your face to this DACA conversation does everything you mean it to do. It makes it so much clearer that this is a human issue and not a political issue. And I think the folks who aren't engaged anymore just don't understand it. The more you put yourself out there, the more people will understand and have empathy. It is insane that we are where we are in this current political environment. My heart truly does bleed for you. I don't pray, but I will do my version of it for you. And I will do my best to be open-minded and keep you in mind as much as possible for whatever appropriate work opportunities come across my desk. Now, I leave you with this. Again, it's about to heat up. We are here today, and we're basically just starting this fight. Everyone who hates immigrants with anti-immigrant sentiments, they're going to come out, and they're going to be as loud as ever. It's going to be scary, but I need all of us to pray. I need all of us to share our stories. Share your story. It doesn't have to be on the news. Just share it with your teacher, share it with your friend, share it with the servant, share it with anybody you can, because you put a face to the issue. And when you do that, they cannot ignore us. We're here to stay. I also want to thank all the organizers. I want to thank CASA. I want to thank NACASEC. I want to thank Make the Road, and all the students, the young undocumented students who started this fight way before Obama was even elected, way before DACA even came in the picture. You guys inspired me to share my story, and I hope I inspire you to do the same. Thank you.